What's up, fuckers, and welcome back to episode 2 of the DreamCast. For those of you who tuned in last time, thank you. And for the new people who are tuning in for the first time, welcome. I'm Kai.
I'm Lucas. And, obviously this one's a little bit later than we planned on it coming out. But, we had some COVID contact tracing things where we had to quarantine for a bit. So, hopefully that doesn't happen again. And, as I mentioned in the last episode, we are working with a online method. Mostly we like to use that for getting guests though, so as much as we can be in person, we'd like to be in person, so that's why we didn't use it this time.
Yep. Alright, so let's hop into our first topic for the day. You got Drake released, people calling it an album. Released 3 songs last night. Yeah. Scary Hours, episode 2. Did you listen to it at all?
Yeah, I did. I listened to it a bit this morning. I thought it was pretty good. His song with Lil Baby was probably the best one on there. But I do find it interesting that he's one of the only artists. I know that there are others, I'm sure, but he gives like those little like 3-packs all the time. Like I know last summer he did it too. Yeah. So that's just like kind of his thing. So I think that for me, I kind of like that. But I also don't like when he then puts out an album where it's just like 3 of his 3-packs put together, so you've heard all the songs.
Yeah.
But I like the little taste of what he's coming out with.
Yeah. I agree with you with the Lil Baby song being the best. I think Lil Baby's probably the hottest rapper on the, market right now. Like every song that he drops is just fire. Every song that Lil Baby drops is like so good. So obviously you kind of expect that song to be a banger. His song with Rick Ross, I don't know. I didn't really like it. Don't know how I feel about it. And then he had his like freestyle. It wasn't bad. It was alright, and he's done better. But I mean, it was just something new, something new to hear. Finally, I liked it. So, let's get into this now. Let's talk about this because you got J. Cole, Kendrick, and then Drake, like the three
Big
goats.
Three, yeah.
The 3 goats of music. Who's your
right.
rank them? I want you to rank them in order.
If I had to go in order for me, it's probably Kendrick, Cole, Drake. Kendrick and Cole are like extremely close though for me. I think what helps Cole so much in that argument in a sense is just that he's putting music out consistently, right? And you could tell he's had a game plan for a long time. I know somewhere on his Instagram he posted a picture of his journal, right? And he had his like 3-step plan. Where he was going to release KOD, then be on all the features, then release again with Revenge of the Dreamers 3, right? So, I think when you put that much precision into your craft, where you're not just like, oh, I like the way this song sounds, I'm going to hop on it, where you purposely wait to get on the features that you want to get on, I think it's huge, and I think that helps him. I think that Kendrick has the most amount of skill out of the 3, right? But he's kind of like a recluse right now. Like, nobody really knows what he's doing. He kind of, like, hints that he's going to drop stuff and then doesn't drop it. And then, so I don't know if that's just, like, because of COVID, right? Like, I don't know how much that's impacting numbers or anything. But Drake undoubtedly is probably out of the 3 the most in touch with the culture, right? Like,
yeah,
he knows how to get clicks and how to get plays. And he purposely plays into, like, the memes. Like, he'll purposely do a dance, right? Like, yeah, Tootsie Slide. Like, he made the song purposefully to, like, be on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
So, like, he's in touch, and that's something to be credited for.
Yeah. My top 3 out of them, I'm going to put Cole first because he's been obviously releasing more music than Kendrick lately, and he's such a good like lyrical rapper, and like everything that he says is just like straight like facts, bro. Like I don't know, I love his rap. I love all of it. Then I'll go Kendrick, and then I'll go Drake. Kendrick, I believe, his last album was the Black Panther album. What was that, 2-3 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's got to be now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not even like I don't know if you really even count that as an album.
Yeah.
Like, it was a soundtrack for it. He had extra songs on it, but like he curated it.
And I've seen the leaks and everything that you're talking about, or like him saying or him teasing a drop and just never really drops anything. So I mean, I'm still waiting because in the future he's definitely gonna drop something. He's got like one more before he goes, we'll say, and I can't wait for that because that's gonna be fire. If he's been working on that for 3 years now, that shit better be fire.
Better be. I mean, like that. It's a make it or break it for him, right? Like he'll either come out and drop fire, and then it's like he'll cement himself as one for his generation, or he'll come out and flop, and then it's kind of like, maybe we got to reevaluate him. Like maybe he's just like a solid 3 and won't be anything more than that.
Yeah, that'd be like Uzi with Eternal Atake.
Yeah.
And how he took so long and they dropped it, and I love that album. And then Drake, obviously, like you said, he touches the culture more, and he seems to make songs for TikTok, like Tootsie Slide. That had to be for TikTok. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was a catchy song. It wasn't a good song, but it was catchy. So everyone.
And then he knew there'd be clicks on the album. Yeah.
And then I also feel that he tries to work with like big, like obviously big name rappers. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with Drake? But like he tries working with the top rappers, like Lil Baby. Like he tried working with him. Obviously, he got a lot of clicks on that song last night, and easily the best song in that 3-pack. So I'd go them as my top 3. I'd really love to see Kendrick and Cole just come together.
They tease it so much too.
I know.
I know I've listened to the Black Friday remixes of Kendrick and Cole, like where they did each other's beat, and there's like a mix where they're both put together. And ever since then, like I've been craving an album with them, and then they like always kind of like tease it, like they might do it, but like realistically, that would probably be the best album that's come out within our lifetimes. Like they have so much skill, and I think they work well together. I think Cole's one of his best parts, and why he did so good on the features is he kind of feels the song and he knows how to fit into it, right? Like he has a million different styles, and every song seemingly there's a new one, which like some people like, some people don't, but he does it so he can fit to what he's on, right? And I think that's a tremendous amount of skill, and I think Drake has that too. Kendrick's kind of like Kendrick, but I feel like in every song that he's in, he's almost a curator, right? Like even on the features, like it's like his song now. Where I think all 3 of these rappers have that capability, but I feel as though Cole and Drake prefer to just like let the song be what the song's gonna be and flow on it that way.
Yeah. I called it once with Logic and Joyner Lucas and how they all had the beef, and I was like, I told all my friends, I'm like, listen, like they're about to come, like they're gonna drop a song and it's gonna be fire. What did I know? It was last year or a year and a half ago, something like that. ISIS comes out. That song was fire. I listened to that over and over and over again to the point where I got tired of it because I was listening to it so much. It was so like they just work so well together, and for them to have like that beef and like throw it off and it was like, all right, like we're fine, like let's make a banger.
Yeah.
And they drop a song like that. Kendrick's been working. We all know he's been working secretly.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna call it now. I'm gonna call the shot. If I get it wrong, oh well. Kendrick and J. Cole are gonna have a huge collab on an album, and that could possibly be Kendrick's last album.
You go out like that,
and he's gonna go out like that. I'm calling my shot for that because, like, the Logic and Joyner Lucas beef was over 1-800 song, right? When Logic dropped 1-800.
Yeah, I believe so. It was around there. They always had like something like going back and forth, like little jabs, and I think that's what pushed it over.
And then like a year after, they're like, all right, like let's put this aside, drop a banger. Called that again. Like I said, that song was fire. Now, J. Cole and Kendrick, I don't believe they don't have any beef, right? I don't believe.
No, nothing that I can know.
Yeah, so I'm calling that Kendrick's last album. Him and J. Cole, every single song could have more features on it too, but I feel like him and J. Cole are just gonna go off on every single song.
Yeah, and back to the point where Drake does certain things to get the certain clicks, right? Going to the Kendrick, or not the Kendrick, the Joyner Lucas and Logic beef, like obviously they both understood that it would help both of them. I mean, especially Joyner. I was a fan of both at the time, and Joyner was a rapper for me who was severely underappreciated, like a lot of skill, completely underappreciated, right? So he knew any beef with Logic, especially because that was like right when Logic's boom was happening, would help him tremendously. So I think he used that perfectly to his advantage, right? And I think, they're both obviously great businessmen, right?
Yeah.
That's how they got to where they are, and Logic understood that if he put that away, put that to the side, he'd be able to make a tremendous more amount of money. Being on a record with him, and I think that that's something that all three of these artists and a lot more artists, especially in different genres, they're able to recognize that, right? Like, they may not personally get along with people, but they know that it's going to sell, right?
Yeah.
And they know it's going to be good music. Where when you kind of get a little bit lower in the tiers, like, I feel like you have that beef with people who, like, isn't really over a real thing. Like, obviously they did something, but nothing life-threatening or, like, really shameful. And they can't put it away. And they lose so many more opportunities because of that.
Yeah. So, now, this is what I saw this over the weekend on social media, and I don't know if you saw this. Logan Paul's podcast, he had 6ix9ine on.
Oh, I've seen that.
And so they basically asked 6ix9ine, like, why he snitched and everything. And the story that, like, 6ix9ine told and everything, it made so much sense. I feel for the guy for getting so much disrespect and everything about, like, snitching and shit. But at the same time, he clowns everyone. Like, King Von, he clowns his death and everything, which is fucked. Like, that's fucked. But I feel for the guy. He was saying, like, you know, if you were in his spot and you were in jail and you were going to be put in jail for about 47 years, he's like 26 or something like that. He's still pretty young.
Yeah.
Would you sit there and live or sit in jail for 47 years for something that you didn't do? Like,
Yeah.
no matter what. Like, even, like, so it's, like, a different story because, like, it's not like, you know, I did the crime and then, like, you took it.
Yeah.
Like, you took the blame for it because, like, we're close. So, like, I'm not saying that, like, you wouldn't snitch because I hope to God you would snitch if that ever happened. But, like, the dudes that he snitched on weren't, like, he wasn't, like, tight with them. Like, he was... Like, they were obviously, like, mutuals and everything, but, like, I don't know. I respect him for going out and talking about it, and I feel for the guy for, like, explaining everything. Like, he's got a daughter or something like that. Like, he's got a family. Like, I understand, like, where he's coming from when, like, he's saying that, like, he's not going to sit there and take 47 years in jail for something that he didn't do.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see that side of it, but I also, at the same time, like, I can kind of see where... you know what you're getting into, in a sense. Like, obviously, yeah, like, when you grow up with gangs, like, your sense of normal is skewed, so then you're more inclined to join them, and then as you get older, you realize, like, oh, this is a trap, and at that point, it's hard to get out, right? So, I understand that side also, but, like, when you're making that much money, you could do what you want. Like, realistically, like, you can get out. Like, maybe it's still not easy, but you have enough money to get out, and or you know, even if you stay in, like, be less affiliated, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he used his affiliations to grow, like, musically, quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Personally, not my type of music. I won't discredit him and say that he doesn't have good musical ability, but...
Good party music.
Yeah, so, obviously that helps, but he definitely used the platform that he was on to grow, right? So, and he was talking about all this stuff in his songs, right? So... I do understand where, yeah, he has a whole life in front of him. Like, why ruin it now for something you didn't do?
Yeah.
And odds are, ultimately, that person's going to serve pretty much the same amount of time that they would have anyways. But, like, if you're going to be in the game, like, that's kind of like an unwritten rule.
Yeah.
Right? That, like, you're not going to snitch. And,
yeah.
And I think also it depends. Like, you could snitch and then... I obviously don't know him, don't know what he's doing, but, like, he could be supporting the guy's family now.
That's true,
right?
Yeah.
Which, obviously, I mean, no disrespect to the people he snitched on, but, like, they could have... I mean, I would assume they're not making as much as he is.
Yeah.
Right? And
way.
Clean money, also. So, like, he could be now supporting their families.
Yeah.
And, obviously, I know when he first got out, like, he had bodyguards with him 24/7. I'm sure it's still like that now.
Uh-huh.
But... now he just runs that risk, right? So, like, he decided he was going to do what he did, and at the end of the day, it's probably just almost as dangerous as had he not snitched and spent all those years in prison.
Yeah. All right, so now, moving on to another hip-hop artist. Let's talk about Lady Gaga and that story. That shit.
Hip-hop?
That is
Hip-hop?
fucked. What? What would you call it?
Pop.
All right. Whatever. That story, that story is
Crazy,
fucked.
dude.
Nah, not even crazy. That is fucked. She has a dog walker who is walking her 2 French bulldogs or American bulldogs or something like that.
Some sort of bulldog. I know it's purebred though.
Yeah,
Like,
purebred. So obviously they're a lot of money. Dude walks up to this woman, shoots her in the chest, and takes the dogs and ties them to like a pole or something. I heard.
yeah.
Like, how fucked is that? Like, imagine, you get hired by Lady Gaga to go walk her dogs. I am not thinking anything about that. Like, I'm not thinking, someone's gonna run up on me and shoot me in the chest and try to fucking kill me and take her dogs. Like, someone just walks up to you, pops you in the chest, you're on the ground fighting for your life, and they just run off with the dogs, and then she puts a $500,000 like bounty on your head. Like, find my dogs, it's $500,000. Like, $500,000 fucking dollars for dogs? Like, I get it, because, my dog passed away this recent weekend. So, like, obviously they mean a lot to you and shit. But
It's a house.
$500,000 fucking dollars? Like, holy shit, bro. If I live around Lady Gaga and shit, I'm out in the streets and I'm searching for these dogs.
Yeah,
like, I'm finding these shits. Like, someone has them, I'm stealing them. I'm like, they're mine. I'm bringing them back to her.
It's also like, obviously, again, like, I have 2 dogs, so I understand how close you can be with your dogs. But, and everything suggests that the person who shot her dog walker had no clue it was even Lady Gaga's dogs. Like, it was just like some crazy coincidence. Yeah. But when you kind of know someone like that's going to react in that way, where they're going to put out a crazy sum of money, like, what are the odds somebody purposely does it to know that they're going to get the payday, right? Like, purebreds, if they're like really, really good dogs, right, you can like stud them out probably like 10 grand, maybe, right? $500,000 is a whole hell of a lot more money, right? So it's like, how much of a stunt is it at that point? And if it wasn't purposely planned like that, like, how crazy is it that that's the coincidence? Like, Lady Gaga's dogs.
And now, I know, like, a woman found her dogs and returned them back to her. But what I really want to know, because I haven't seen anything on it, I want to know if the woman, like, accepted the money. Because, like, in reality, like, if I found the dogs, I'd love to accept the money, but I don't know if I could, because, like, I just, like, like, I don't want to get paid for, like, finding your dogs and returning them to you.
Yeah.
Like my
maybe
dog.
a little bit, but not like $500,000.
Give me, like, like $20,000 or something. Like, support me for a little bit. I don't need, like, $500,000 for finding your dogs. Like, I understand you're loaded in money, but that's a little bit too much. But I really want to know if the woman, if she got paid for it, like, if Lady Gaga actually paid her, or if she, like, turned down the money and was like, I don't want anything. Because that'd probably be my reaction. And then I'd be like, all right, maybe like $20,000.
Not for next 4 years.
Yeah. Or like if I'm in college, like, pay off my debt, please. Like, and
It's also like, I wonder how much Lady Gaga makes.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know, like, no disrespect to her, obviously. 5 years ago, that's all you would hear about, right?
She was popping.
Yeah, now, I haven't heard anything about her.
It's the first
thing I've heard about her. So, like, she's got to still be making a lot. I'm sure she has some sort of diverse investment portfolio to be $500,000 for a dog. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So, alright, so more fuck stories. Texas. Now, they obviously had that fucking power outages all over the state because, they're the one, they try to go green and everything, and everyone's like saying, oh, their power grids can't handle the cold weather. That wasn't the case. They're powered off of windmills, and the windmills froze over and stopped fucking spinning, and everyone lost power, and people were freezing, pipes were bursting, I literally saw a picture on Twitter. This fan had fucking icicles hanging out from it. I'm sitting here in my house. We get like 8 inches of snow. Yeah. And then I'm just sitting there and I'm imagining myself like, wow, like, imagine I walked out in my living room and looked at the fan and there's just icicles hanging down. Like, that shit would be crazy. So, like, I feel for them because, like, that is hard to go through. And I know actually multiple people died, plus, like, their children, because they sat in cars and had the cars running for, like, heat and ended up dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. And then you had other people dying because they were, like, freezing to death. And you had kids who were starving because you couldn't go out and get food. And, so that's, like, that's upsetting and everything that happened. But another, like, controversial thing is I think it was their governor, right? Or no, it was one of the senators, maybe? I don't remember. But while all that shit's going on, dude went on vacation to Cancun with his daughters.
Something like that. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know which one it was, but yeah. I mean, around here, anytime you go on the Parkway during the summer, because obviously you can't just like get rid of it, right? You see the huge piles of salt, like road salt, tarped over and stuff, and makes sense, right? Like even whenever I travel north for hockey, double the amount. Like they're prepared for it, which makes sense. You get snow often. This is the second time Texas has gotten snow in the last 200 years or something like that. So it's an anomaly, like. And for me, it was extremely interesting to see how they tried to, like, counteract the snow. Like, they were putting sand on the streets to try to stop the snow
that doesn't work
from freezing the road. So it's like, definitely doesn't work.
Just harder to clean up.
Yeah. So, obviously, you can't blame any sort of infrastructure or anything like that for them because why would they be prepared for this, right? Like, there's no necessity for 99.9% of the time to worry about snow at all.
Yeah.
So again, like you could see how their pipes don't need to be as good, right? Like they don't need to be prepared for the cold weather. Hot weather, cold weather, no. It would be the equivalent of having a 110-degree summer here, like for a couple of days, right? Like that's what they went through, and we obviously wouldn't be prepared for it. Like our AC wouldn't work as much. We'd be sweating in the house, right?
Everyone's AC would be blasting. It'd probably cause a huge power outage.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you'd be dying.
And the big point that I saw, and like I won't lie, initially I was like, come on, like an inch of snow, like you guys are complaining about this, like seriously, is when it's inside of your house, right? Like you don't have any heat, so now it's freezing in your house, and that sucks. And they're always like, well, you guys don't really know what it's like and stuff. The closest thing that we can get to it, and like I was thinking about it, and it really shows how much of a pain it is and like how stressful it is like Hurricane Sandy here.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have a lot of damage, no electricity in your house, so
for like a week and a half.
Yeah. And when you think about it, like the going outside, like the roads were blocked, the trees falling down, power lines down, but that's not the bad part. It's when you have to go try to travel or when you're in your house. It's not like when you're traveling around, right? So it's a discomfort when you're going to bed or just playing with your kids or whatever. So I can definitely see how, even if it's not that much snow or doesn't seem like a lot when you first look at it, it is a crazy thing for Texas. Yeah. People go to Texas so there's not snow.
Yeah, what like pissed me off at first, like when I saw everything that happened in Texas, is they're like, all you northeasters, listen to me, northeasterners, however the fuck you say it, I don't give a fuck. They're like sitting there like, oh, like you guys get like your roads salted and like roads plowed and shit, like you guys have it set up for you, like we weren't expecting this. And I was like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, bro, like them salting our roads doesn't do anything when we get 8 inches of snow.
It's so bad.
And then them plowing our roads still doesn't do anything.
The only place it's like good, the salt actually does something, is like on the Parkway.
Yeah. And then I'm like it doesn't do nothing. Like I don't know what you guys are talking about. Then when I started seeing that, like, like their pipes were bursting in their house, like their house was freezing over and everything, I was like, all right, like they got it a lot worse than us. Like I shouldn't be complaining about 8 inches of snow on the streets and everything. Like I still have warmth in my house and everything. So I was like, all right, like they got a valid point and everything. But speaking of Hurricane Sandy, I just wanted to bring this up 'cause it's funny. I remember, Hurricane Sandy hit us and everything, and my mom would have us all sleep out in like the living room because my room and my brother's room are like close to trees. So like God forbid she didn't want a tree falling and killing us. So like we'd sleep out in the living room, and we had power. And I remember just being up at night, like just playing on my DS while everyone else is sleeping. I was playing like WWE or something. All of a sudden I hear a big, like loud boom, and I'm like, I look up, and on the bottom of my TV there was like a Vizio like
Sound,
logo.
Right? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a logo, and it like lit up like when the TV was off, but like obviously when you had power. And then I looked at it and it wasn't lighting up, and I was like, oh shit. If my 8-year-old or however old I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden see a flashlight coming through my window, and I got so scared. I woke my mom up, and I woke my mom and dad up. I was like, "What is going on?" My neighbor's walking around. They're in the middle of a hurricane, just with the flashlight shining in our windows, making sure everyone's okay. And I'm like, "Dude, like you're crazy." And then that was around Halloween time, and I found out Halloween was canceled.
Oh,
My
yeah.
8-year-old self, I was so pissed.
It was like the craziest thing. You're like, how can you cancel Halloween?
Yeah.
Like, you're not allowed to do that.
You can't cancel a holiday. And they damn well did. And I was so mad. I was like, oh, like, bro, this is not okay. But then I heard, like, we had a week off from school, and my dumb ass is sitting there like, let's go. I'm totally not paying attention to anyone's houses that are ripped apart and people who got flooded out. I'm just happy we don't got school. But, yeah, that was just funny.
Yeah. And so many, I remember just bringing up the funny stories aspect. Like, I remember so many people having their trampolines like fly all over the place, right? Like land on houses. The tree in my front yard fell like right in front of the house. Remember all that? So all these crazy storms, like we had a trampoline this past year, right? And you know, you would expect a big storm to take it away, fly it away. It's Christmas morning. I'm coming home from my dad's house, and we pull up. I forgot something in the car. Probably like my wallet or something, right? So we all go in the house. We're having dinner here, and I'm like, oh, I forgot my wallet. I'll be right back. Go out to my car. I park my car right next to where the trampoline is every time, and I'm looking. I'm like, did they throw out the fucking trampoline when we were gone? Like I thought they didn't want to tell my brothers or something. Like that they got rid of it. So I'm like, the fuck. I keep walking. I'm like, let me look back again. Like, am I just like losing it? Like, am I tripping right now? I look back. It's hanging off the side of my neighbor's house.
I remember getting that video.
Yeah.
Didn't the tree in your front lawn like uproot too and was just like hanging on its side basically?
Yeah, actually it did, yeah. And that was in the front, like completely somewhere else. That was like their big thing, right? And that happened like a day or two before. So they were all worried about that. And I see the tree, or I see the trampoline hanging on the house. And they have a pool right in front of it, right? So it is literally, must have went straight up, came over, and lodged itself right in between the two. And I'm like, how in the hell? Like, I thought someone was fucking with us. I go inside the house, I'm like, have you seen the trampoline yet? Mom's like, what the hell are you talking about, the trampoline? It's like, the trampoline is not in our yard anymore. She's like, where is it? I was like, oh, so you don't know? She's like, no, I have no clue. I'm like, it's hanging on the house. We all go over, right? We go into this guy's backyard, and we're looking at it, and it is hanging on by, like, something that's this big, like 5-6 inches, and the metal from the bottom of the trampoline is just hanging on to that. Like, that's the only thing. It took us, like, an hour to get it down. We're, like, there, like, cutting it all up into pieces, and I remember, like, getting home. I was like, wow, like, this is the only way you can have a Christmas in 2020.
Yeah.
Like, it just fit the theme.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, a part of that was, obviously, it's still in COVID, still are, right? Wearing a mask there, not wearing a mask there, because you got, like, stuff flying everywhere, so, like, the mask is good then, but it was heavy, so, like, you were, like, starting to work it, like, it's like going to the gym, right? Which is a pain with a mask.
I never wear my mask. I wear it in, I pull it down when I work out. No
So,
joke.
I mean, something that happened recently that I think, you know, Texas and Mississippi now, no masks, right? If they want. And Florida's been like that. Florida's just crazy
crackheads,
over there.
bro.
They don't care, you know. They got the guy in the news every day with Florida man.
Just snort lines, and they're like, all right, let's go.
But I know, I mean, for me personally, that's how I prefer it to go. Or like, you don't have to wear a mask. If you want to wear a mask, you wear a mask. Or if a store wants you to wear a mask, you can wear a mask.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that's for my personal opinion, I think that's the way people should start to look to go towards, right? Obviously, if you do it that way, you're also going to have to come up with some sort of median, some sort of compromise, so people who have a compromised immune system and who are older have a way to get what they need. And you see, like, Target's doing it already. I think they have it open for an hour for just senior citizens. So I think kind of like how Sweden did, like, everybody's going to get it eventually. Obviously, you could slow it down. The people who you want to make sure are the safest, just make sure they're the safest. Everybody else is kind of like, go about what you want to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen. We're going to be living with this shit for most of our lives, if not the rest of our lives. It's just, like, we have a vaccine. Doesn't 100% work.
Yeah.
So we're going to be living with this for a while. we are not like any other countries who don't have to wear masks anymore because we are a bunch of fucking idiots in America. We like to walk around and protest wearing masks instead of everyone wearing a mask for like a 3-month period.
Getting it over with right away.
Getting it over with and then being free for as long as possible. So, honestly, I might sound stupid for saying this, but I think Texas, Mississippi, and Florida all made the right decision by doing that because, like, give people a choice. Like, I get it. People have health conditions and everything. But, like, I'm not trying to live my life with a mask the whole time. Not saying, like, masks are annoying. They're the usual now, so they're not, like, as annoying as they first were. But, like, just being able to, like, leave my house and go somewhere without having to wear a mask is just so refreshing. Like, there's been countless amount of times where I've literally walked into a store
without one, have to run
without
back
one,
out.
and I'm standing there and I look like an idiot. Like, I went to go get a bagel after school from Gems, and I walked in and I was standing there for about 10 minutes with no mask on, and everyone was looking at me, and I was like, why are they looking at me? And I'm like, I literally sit there and I say out loud, I go, oh shit, I forgot my mask. And I ran to my car, got my mask, and came back in. I felt like a dumbass. People were probably like, look at this little fucking Gen Z kid. Like, he's protesting not wearing a mask. He doesn't care. And I'm just sitting there like, I literally forgot. Like, I'm an idiot. But I think most, if not all, states are just going to have to do that. Like, you're just going to have to give people the option if they want to wear masks or not.
Yeah, I mean, saying where the states kind of like are running out of options, you know, obviously we're extremely close to the New York City, right? And obviously I haven't ever been to Los Angeles, but you know, you see it everywhere. Like, people are leaving these places, right? Yeah. And when you look at it, they have two of the more strict governors who were somewhat proactive in the beginning, right? Which was good in the beginning, which is what you want. But now have been kind of extending what they're doing for a longer period of time. Our governor in New Jersey also kind of did a similar thing, right? You have people actively leaving these places now.
Yeah.
Like, New York is empty, right? And it makes sense. New York business center, so people who can work from home now. Less of a need there. But you're also losing all the entertainers that are in these places. Florida has a lot right now. A lot of people left. Texas, definitely. Like, you got Rogan. I know you have pretty much every esports team's going to Texas.
Yeah.
Different related, like, that's internet based, but it's only supporting other creators to go there, mm-hmm. right? Like, they have a content just warehouse there. Like, they can do whatever they want. You even have Logan Paul leaving Los Angeles to go to Puerto Rico, right? Like, nobody wants to stay in the traditional cities, and, you know, you're kind of flooding the people outwards, which it's really killing these cities, right? So I think people who are more proactive, who kind of just like throw it up in the air, like, maybe this can get me fired, but whatever, like, I'm going to go for it, are going to have more success within their state. But, you know, these governors are also happen to be the same people who want to run for the next presidency.
Yeah.
Right, so they kind of need to protect their image, which I understand, but, like, you can't make your people suffer because of that.
Yeah. See, the thing about COVID is, I feel like we rush back into everything. Everyone, like, you know, you got all the people, like, all the old people will say. I feel like such an asshole saying that, but they're all like, oh, like, get the kids back to school, all that, like, this and that. First off, we rush back sports way too soon.
Yeah.
The NBA bubble, great idea, and it worked perfectly, so that wasn't really rushed. It was just well thought out and well planned, and it worked perfectly. But other sports like baseball, I mean, I know that they had teams playing in, like, I think it was like 3 or 4 different stadiums. Like, so, like, every team was like, they weren't like traveling the whole time. Don't really know much about hockey and soccer.
They and the NHL went to a bubble. They went for like exhibition games, like, towards the end, and then just playoffs. It went extremely well. There were some restrictions with Canada. Like, Canada won't let their teams leave their country. So both stadiums, they had 2 different rinks that they were playing out of were both in Canada, but they had no confirmed cases throughout the time there. So,
I know football played at their stadiums, no fans allowed. Now, football was the worst sport, I think, with COVID COVID protocol and COVID cases. You saw a bunch of teams get shut down during the season, games having to get rescheduled because of that. Now, again, everyone's most likely going to have COVID once in their lifetime. But I do think that we rush back into everything. I do think that we rush back into going into school and getting back into school 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
We definitely rush getting back into sports. I think if we would have took our time on it and, you know, it was like, all right, listen, like, people, like, this is a lot more serious than everyone thinks, because it is.
Yeah.
And just took our time with it, we probably would be in the clear very soon of masks and everything. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like we rushed everything. Like, everyone's complaining about, like, kids not being in school all the time. And now for me, virtual learning's a lot harder. I don't learn well virtually, but I'd rather be safe than, you know, going into school, putting my parents at risk, because both my parents have health conditions and could struggle if they get COVID. Now I'm going to school 4 days a week as my school, like, that's what my school does now, 4 days a week. And I'm not scared, but I'm a little, like, I'm not scared to go to school. Like, I'm fine with going to school. I have fun. It's not normal, but, like, you know, I kind of got to make the best of it for my senior year. But I'm more just, like, worried about testing positive, or, like, being exposed and then testing positive and then being at home with my family. Yeah. Because I don't want them, because, one, if I tested positive and then, like, I spread it to my family, both my parents would be out of work, and then most likely my brother would be out of work. Yeah. Now, that sucks for them because they wouldn't be making any money that week. You know, they'd be out of work for about 2 weeks. I'd be out of work for about 2 weeks, and all I would be doing is sitting at home, like, doing nothing. So I think we definitely rushed into everything too fast. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I think our biggest mistake was not taking it seriously right in the beginning. Like, I could vividly remember hearing about it happen in China, right? In Wuhan, and people were talking about it, right? And they're like, oh, it's never going to get here. And my first thought was like, well, one person gets on a plane and it's here, right? Like, that was like the whole big thing with Ebola. Completely different situation, right? Obviously, we're very fortunate that it wasn't by like a respiratory one, as COVID is, to where, you know, just mosquitoes, you kind of isolate it a lot quicker. But had the whole world, because, I mean, that's pretty much who it impacted, right? The whole world, obviously. You have a lot of parts in Africa, because of the climate, aren't really getting that impacted by COVID. So you do have exceptions, but had everybody who knew that they were going to be impacted by it taken the necessary precautions and I remember everybody saying, we're gonna be shut down for a couple of weeks, right? Like, that's what everybody said. We'll be back in school in a few weeks.
We're back in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So had everybody done that right away, every nation.
It's like a lot.
Yeah. We probably would have been, right? Like, if everybody had to stay in their homes for 2 weeks, would it have been crazy? Yeah. But right afterwards, we would have been fine. I think that was a bigger mistake, but obviously you get into debate of people's freedoms, right? Like, nobody wants to lose them. But now, I think you kind of get into it where we're kind of at the point where I think, you know, things should be personally getting open. Do I think people tried to open certain things a little too early? Yeah. But you also have to consider a lot of people's mental health, right? Like, a lot of people can't stay at home.
Yeah.
And for extended hours in the day, right? And I know a lot of people are working from home. And when you're working from home, and that's all you really do, right? You get older, you just go to work, come home. You're in your house all day.
Yeah.
Right? So mental health, physical health, it's going down the drain. So I could see how people found the need to try to rush things or try to get life back to normal. But I think from this point on, it's just super important to strategically get things back to normal now. Yeah. And not necessarily rush it or not go too slow, right? Like, I think you can have the fine balance. And again, I think you can times where people have to wear masks and times where people can do whatever they want, right? And I think if you get to that slower sort of progression instead of just, okay, nobody has to wear a mask now, or everybody has to wear a mask right now, you kind of find what the majority of the people want and what can be an acceptable safety level for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. So moving back to sports, you got Tiger Woods. If anyone hasn't heard about what happened, got into a car crash last weekend, right?
I believe so, yes.
It was a one-person car crash last weekend, and he was rushed into surgery. He survived it, thankfully, but
hardly too.
Yeah, hardly, but suffered many injuries. I know he suffered a broken leg and stuff like that. And
I'm pretty sure he had it in both legs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. So obviously scary for the sports community. But there's what's the word? I can't think. People are saying that he was possibly under a substance when that happened. I don't know too much about this. I didn't really, look much about this, but you know anything about this?
Yeah, well, I know, obviously Tiger Woods, like America's hero in a sense, right? Like, best to do what he was doing, and then had the DUI.
Yeah.
Couldn't play, right? So, I think when people see this, that's the first thing that they think of right away and that they see right away, which, I mean, is a logical deduction. Like, that's a reasonable thing to look at. Not necessarily assume is correct, but to look at least. I know another reason why people are so caught up on this and truly do believe that this is what's happening is because it was very, like, early in the morning, so, like, late at night, right? So the first thing was, like, maybe it was drowsy driving. Like, he was extremely tired, like, falling asleep at the wheel. And then people kind of began to run with it to where, yeah, he is falling asleep at the wheel. And I know he underwent some sort of, like, minor surgery recently. And a lot of painkillers do make you tired, right? So people are kind of making that assumption. I would assume he couldn't have been drinking again, because I'm assuming they would have given him a breathalyzer as soon as he got in the hospital.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They said that he was unconscious when they arrived at scene, so breathalyzer or not, they still have the blood test. Obviously, some way they took a blood test. So, that's obviously out of the clear. He wasn't under, like, the influence of alcohol.
Yeah.
Because by then, that would have been out by now. They would have known. He would have been charged, and that would have been that. But, so, obviously, it wasn't him under alcohol. I didn't know about the surgery. It's very possible that he could have been on painkillers. And, I mean, listen, falling asleep at the wheel happens. Not that, it's
acceptable or anything.
Yeah, not that it's acceptable or anything, but it happens, and just everyone, I don't know, we should just be thankful that he survived it and everything, for being one of the greats that he is at his sport. Everyone has a past, and he probably isn't happy about what he did.
Yeah.
And kind of just got to move on from that and forget that. Can't hold it against him. And so, like, I don't know. I think we just all have to be thankful that he's alive and everything. Like, going over to bring up Kobe and everything. He had he was like he had the alleged rape case, and some woman or girl came out and claimed that, like, Kobe raped her. He went to court and everything, blah blah blah. No one remembers him because of that. Like, you can't sit there and remember Tiger Woods because, like, he drove under the influence and all that. Like, no one remembers Kobe because of that. Everyone remembers Kobe because he was the GOAT at what he did. Like, he was that good of a player. He had the Mamba mentality. Like, he was just such a good competitor. Everyone, like, that's what everyone remembers him for. And no one's like, he passed away and everything. No one's going to sit there and hold it against him and be like, oh, like, he deserved to pass away. Like, he raped a woman. Like, that's the thing about the society now, is that whenever, it could be men or women, honestly, whenever they get the chance, they always try to take advantage of professional athletes. Like, if they went to school, if they went to school with them, or, like, are friends or were friends with them and everything, they'll do whatever they can to try to make money off of them. Yeah. And that's coming out and saying, like, oh, like, he raped me or she raped me and all that. And it's like, I do not, like, that is so messed up. You're trying to sit there and and mess up someone's career just to get money. And what's even worse is the fact that once one person says it, then all of a sudden like 3 other cases come out.
Yeah. Every time.
It's like, no, like that's just not acceptable. And what pisses me off is the fact that those people don't even get like a consequence.
Yeah.
Like, nah, like if you don't have proof, and like if he's like proven like non-guilty, or they're proven not guilty, I'm sorry, you deserve like a year in jail, at least a year in jail. Like, that pisses me off, that you try to ruin someone's career that they work so hard for, because you want to make money off them.
And not even for me, obviously, like, that's a huge part. Like, you're trying to ruin somebody's career, but for me, why I do think like there should definitely be some sort of large consequence for it is, not necessarily to any certain person or anything, but there are people who do suffer from sexual abuse, right? So you're kind of taking away all of the credit that somebody could have, right? Like, had it been some superstar in some sport and the person never was able to gain the confidence or was told to be quiet about it, right? And finally got the courage to come out and say, hey, listen, like, this is what happened. Like, I'm seeking compensation now. Obviously, it's still kind of like shady that it's a little bit later, but hey, you don't know what's going through someone's mind, right? So for all the legitimate and real cases, I think, all of the fake ones are completely discrediting it. Taking away any sort of legitimacy they'll have both amongst their peers and in law. I mean, and you do go to a trial, right? Trial by peer. So I think that's the biggest thing that people should just try to, like, don't cry wolf, right? Like, that's the reason. All right, so as part of trying to evolve as a podcast, I guess you could say, we are obviously on both video platforms, so video and audio-only platforms. Obviously, the big two are YouTube and Spotify, right? So in an attempt to appeal to both audiences and drive attention to both audiences, we're going to be having video-only parts at the end of our videos, or sometimes maybe just sprinkled in. And we also be having audio-only, right? So right now we're going to talk about the market just blowing up over Pokemon cards, NFTs, like collectibles in general. So if you guys want to see that, this is going to be on the video-only version. If you're on audio right now, just hop over to YouTube if you're not necessarily interested in it. On the audio only, we're going to be talking about the sort of esports drama that happened. I would say relatively in the gaming scene in general, where you have Envy's owner Hasho going out against, JCap, Thorin, Jack, Courage even got involved, and a little bit of Hitch thrown in his comedic gold in there, right? So if you guys are on video, go head over to the audio and check that one out if you're interested in that. But if not, if you guys are only going to stay for this part of the video, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it.
It was fun, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
So, as I mentioned, market's blowing up with these collectibles, right? Pokemon cards blew up. I personally, from the way I see it, kind of like a Logan Paul blow up, right? Which is cool, because now you got people all over YouTube selling them for a crazy amount, opening them, doing box breaks, like crazy hype too, like when you're trying to pull the Charizard. But for me, an interesting topic, I don't know how much you know about it, NFTs, non-fungible tokens. It's a crazy concept for any of you guys who don't know what they are. They're practically like a media asset that you can gain the rights to exclusively. Obviously, for each one, it depends how many people can have it. Some can just be a one of one. Some could be like one of 1,000, right? But depending on what that asset is and who it's from, it could gain value, lose value, right? So like the big ones soon are obviously gonna be like winning a video, or not winning, bidding on a video clip of a World Series home run.
Well, I know there's a website, and it's an NBA website, and you get in line for a pack. You hope you get the pack, then you open the pack, and it's like a clip of something, and it goes from like common to rare, probably to like ultra rare or something like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any, like, I haven't seen much of it, but I've seen like a rare pull and everything, and it could be a short video of some dude like dunking, some dude hitting a three, all that. So I've seen that before, and like they go for a lot of money. And then the Pokemon cards, I have a friend who does all that. Like he PlayStation release day, he gets like 20
Buys them all
PlayStation.
up, resells them.
Yeah, gets 20 PlayStations. He, Pokemon cards go back in stock. That's all. They're all his. He does shoes and everything. Shout out you, Kevin. So he does all that stuff, and he usually just buys the boxes to sell them. But he opened a box, and the kid literally pulled a $900 Charizard, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, bro. And I've been me watching these videos and everything. I'm like, yo, like I want to get one of these boxes. They're like $100 resell. Like I'm gonna get one of these boxes. I'm gonna make some profit. Like that.
Yeah.
I got this. I really want to do it, but I'm really scared that I'm gonna lose my
$100. Yeah.
Because I know also if I do pull something good, it's like depending how rare the card is, to get them, what's it called? What's it called when you send them in?
Yeah, PSAs, to get them graded.
Yeah, to get them graded, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And it takes like a while. And so that's another thing is like, I'll go out, I'll buy one, and in my luck, I'm going to pull a good ass card. And then I'm going to be like, all right, now I don't got the money to send this in.
Yeah.
So
or
now I
like,
gotta sit
how
there
long
and
do you
wait.
hold on to it for?
And now I got to sit there and wait and hope the price doesn't drop. And also hope that I don't end up damaging it. So that's the reason why I haven't, tried to invest in anything like that. Like I really do want to get into it, but I also need to learn more about sending it in, getting it graded, and finding out how much the cards are worth, all the cards are worth, because I don't really know much. I just know you got the holo cards, the reverse holo cards, and all the Charizards are usually worth a lot. I don't know how much all the other cards are worth, because that Pokemon wasn't really my thing when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I just I really want to get a box and open a box and just test my luck and see how lucky I can get. Probably won't get too lucky because I'm not a very lucky person, but it's just something to play around with. It doesn't hurt if you spend $100 and pull a $900 card.
Yeah, I think even to that where it's elevated one step above that, all the major people who are trying to get into it or played with it as a kid, right? They're doing box breaks online where they're spitting these cards off or these packs off, right? So they're already turning a profit. They're getting good content out of it, and then from there, they save one for themselves and they pull a $900 card, right? And so there's 3 different ways you can make income, and I think what's going to be interesting is there are a limited amount of these boxes. Right now, it seems like they're just free flowing, right? And then everybody's going to open them, and then you're going to kind of run out. So it's going to be cool to see who's just holding on to these boxes. Nobody's buying them. Now there's 5 boxes left. You have one of them, and you have the box. The box would become more than opening them and seeing what cards are inside.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it's interesting that, it's got to be an innate human thing. People want collections, right? I can remember as a little kid collecting coins. Now it's the Pokemon cards. In the future, and sort of now NFTs, right? And just kind of cool to see how these things are gradually progressing.
Yeah. All right, so let's hop into this esports beef. So during the beginning of the week, you had